Google I/O 2021 is underway with the unveiling of a new look for Android, new communication tools, a new watch platform, and a lot more. And joining us is Communications Manager Molly VandenBerg. Thanks for taking the time, Molly.
Thank you so much for having me, Fred.
So this year's Google I/O is online, at least for most of us. I think there's been a little bit of an outdoor crowd, but lots of news still with a few different themes: helpfulness, innovation powered by AI, privacy, and security. I guess we should start with some of the helpfulness highlights.
Of course, at Google, we're always innovating across our products to make them even more helpful to people, and I/O is really our showcase of that. So when we think about a number of the different updates that we made in the helpfulness category, I think one that really sticks out to a lot of people is Smart Canvas, which is for our Google Workspace products like Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, Meet. And that's really designed to be the next evolution of collaboration for these tools. And so many of us have had to get used to a new way of working, and we want to make sure that teams are brought even closer together in this virtual or hybrid space. And so what this looks like is an addition of things like smart chips or easy links where you'll be able to add files or add people, or even templates for things like brainstorming or the ability to take meeting notes. And we're bringing all of this into easy to use features for Workspace starting now and through the end of the year. So that way teams can work together even more seamlessly and we can really remove that friction.
And later in the year, be able to incorporate Google Meet right into some of those document sharing?
That's correct. If you think about the way that we've all been working, sometimes you're working on a document and you realize that you need to chat about something live. And so we also want it to be really easy for people to start a meeting. So as you mentioned, later this year, you'll be able to join a Google Meet call right from your document and similarly have a really easy experience to share your document in a Meet call that you have going on already. So it's those sorts of things that we're really thinking about as people navigate from tool to tool. How can we make it a really easy experience? So that way you're not flipping between a ton of tabs or fumbling around for what you need to share.
And for those of us who need help finding things like gender neutral terms, Google's going to be suggesting ways to change documents.
This is really cool. It's called assisted writing, and it's something that we're bringing in as well. So if you're working in a document and you're typing out a paragraph and you might use the word chairman, for example. And what this is going to do is give you a little nudge and say, hey, maybe you want to update that to chairperson so it's more inclusive. So we really want to help teams not only get things done, but also think about the way that they're communicating. And so these AI powered features can be really helpful in that way to help you, get a second opinion on what it is that you have coming out.
On the innovation side, there's lots of news there too. One of the items that's made some headlines is the new Wear. You're not calling it Wear OS now, you're just calling it Wear, I think, right?
That's correct. And what's really great about Wear is that, of course, we're working with Samsung on a unified platform. We've worked with them for a long time. And so that's going to be really wonderful, not only for Google and Samsung, but for any other company that wants to build on top of that. But the exciting thing about Wear as well is that Fitbit is now part of the Google family. So we're going to be bringing all of the wonderful things that are great about Fitbit and their fitness know-how into Wear. And of course, we'll collaborate on premium smartwatches down the line. But Fitbit also has some really exciting things coming up. Available for pre-order now is the Fitbit Luxe, which I really love because it's a really fashion-forward fitness tracker, so it blends in great with jewelry. And that's something that they're providing to people. And what I think is really great about this kind of device in general is that it's not only designed to help you move more, which of course I know a lot of us are interested in doing, especially a year and a half into the pandemic, but it's also going to help you manage your holistic well-being. So things like managing your stress or getting better sleep, giving you those insights into the data to be able to pinpoint, if you're feeling off one day, why that might be the case and nudge you in the right direction.
And of course, Google's Nest products can help you get some better sleep too these days.
That is very true. We have our new Nest Hub that came out not too long ago, and that's designed to sit on your bedside table and is a device that's all about getting better sleep. So if you head to bed, it'll give you a report the next morning about whether you might have moved around a lot or whether there are temperature changes in your room that might be the cause of your poor sleep. And so that can be great as well. It's so important for so many people. I think that for me, when I feel at my worst is if I feel like I didn't get a good night of sleep and if I didn't get a good cup of coffee, I would say.
So you've got something else that I found really fascinating that you're calling Project Starline. Tell us about that.
Yes, this is a really exciting announcement that's very innovative, but it's also very forward looking. So this is experimental and it's something that we're thinking about more for down the line. But video chat, of course, has been something that a lot of us have gotten familiar with over the course of the past year and a half. And what we want to do is think about how can we really continue to develop the experience so that way it's as similar to face as it possibly could be. And so Project Starline is designed to be a really authentic looking video chat where it's more in 3D. It's designed to emulate the experience of that other person being in the room with you and allowing you to focus on that. So while it's a ways away for any kind of consumer application, it does really show the kinds of things that we want to look into and invest in. And I think it's really exciting.
And right now, the way you're describing it is that people would be going into a booth more or less to have these chats in 3D more or less?
Correct. It is a designated space where the technology would allow you to see someone in a more realistic setting. So you step into this area, this booth, and then you get a projection of someone on the other side. And it is very lifelike. I think it's incredibly cool to see. And I'm excited about where it could be going.
Return of the phone booth. Look at that.
I hope so. In a certain way, I think you're totally right about that.
Some new innovation also coming to Google Photos. Tell us about that.
Photos is such a beloved product and it really helps people reminisce. And there are some great little features that are coming there. The first one is little patterns. And so a lot of us take a ton of different photos and sometimes there's a theme that emerges. It might be your family takes a family photo in the same location every year, or even if you take photos of things that are of similar shape and color. And when we identify one of those patterns, if there are like 3 or more images that fit, we'll stitch them together and say like, hey, here's a fun little memory of some of the things that you've taken photos of. I think it's really nice where an example that we used yesterday is there's a family who's hanging out on the couch and has all sorts of different moments where you're able to reminisce over what it's like to spend time in the favorite area of your home. And then the other thing that we're working on that I think is really cool that's going to be rolling out is cinematic moments. I am no stranger to the experience of taking like 5 different photos of the same thing, trying to get the best angle. And what we can do here is use artificial intelligence to stitch those together. So that way the photo is a little bit more immersive and it moves around. And what I like about that is that so often it's really hard to replicate the experience of actually being there in a photo. And that gets you a little bit closer to that.
Besides the fun aspects and of all of that, you're using a camera for something else that's new to help detect skin conditions. Tell me about that.
Correct. This is a really exciting project that once again is a little while away for consumers, but I think is really something that a lot of people will find helpful. We know that people come to Google every day with questions about their health, and especially with skin conditions, they're incredibly common. 1 in 4 people experiences them. And so what we wanted to do is build a tool that helps people get more authoritative information and find the next step that they need to take in, of course, coordination with their physician. So what you do is you would take 3 photos of this particular skin condition, and using artificial intelligence, we'd be able to match it with a database of like over 200 conditions that it possibly could be, and kind of narrow down that list to say, you know, hey, based on what we're seeing, it could be this, this, or this. And that's going to empower you to have a more informed conversation with your doctor. So that way you can be more engaged with what your questions are about your health. And I think this is a possibly really helpful tool for a lot of people as the first step. It can be intimidating to go into that office. And a lot of people have gotten used to the idea of telehealth or using technology to be able to facilitate their care. And this is another evolution of that I'm really excited about.
Sounds terrific. Now, Real quick, there's some new developments on the security front as well.
Yes, security is so important and it's paramount to everything that we do. And so there are a couple of user-friendly things that we announced. And one of them I really love because I, like most people, struggle with passwords. And they are hard to remember. It's hard to keep track of them. Of course, one of our best tips is to use a password manager in general. But in our password manager, what we're really looking forward to doing is that for certain sites and apps, when you run that check to say, hey, have any of my passwords been compromised in a data breach that's publicly available? If it says, yeah, it has been, you'll be able to click on a Google Assistant button that will actually change your password for you right away. So you don't have to go through that cumbersome process of resetting it on the site. And that can be really handy, not only for protecting yourself better online, but for also saving time. And then we're also making it really easy for people to delete the last 15 minutes of their search data. And so if you're on the Google search app, you can do that with just a tap in the account settings. And that's really useful as well. Perhaps you're looking for engagement rings, you don't want your partner to know and you share a device, you can wipe that really quickly. So it's all about putting people in control of their privacy online.
Terrific. Is there a place where people can go to get more info about the various announcements that you're making there?
Definitely. You can check out g.co/IO for more information about the event and the different sessions we have going on. And then, of course, our blog, blog.google, is a great resource for more information about all of these announcements.
Molly VandenBerg, thank you so much for taking the time with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Fred.
Now this. It takes a lot of listening to build a better radio, and that's just what the folks at C. Crane have done. Bob Crane and his crew, nestled among the rivers and tallest trees in the world in Fortuna, California, have made a habit of listening to their customers. And that's just what they've done in building the CC Skywave SSB, the Swiss Army knife of portable radios. For everyday listening to AM or FM in the yard or patio or on the nightstand without having to drain a mobile phone battery, it's a great companion. But it is also a companion equipped for NOAA weather information and alerts that can be life-saving. You can listen to FEMA and Coast Guard transmissions too. Beyond all of that, you can tune into shortwave signals from around the world. It's compact, easy to take with you, and built to last. The CC Skywave SSB. Click on the link at Techstination.com.